Ooh, and am I live? I think I'm live. Let's double check. You know, it's always the delay. I don't see. Oh, now I think I'm live. Okay, there we are. You know, it's always the delay. Yes, fabulous. Okay, wonderful. Hello, everyone. Hello. It is so great to see you all. Make sure to turn that phone down. Hello, and how are you? It's wonderful to see you all. Thank you all so much for joining me today. It's kind of a wet day here at my palatial estate in Collingwood, Ontario, Canada. I'm about 2 hours north of Toronto. So a perfect day to stay inside and sew. Every day is a perfect day to stay inside and sew, but yes, especially today. So hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining me today. It is wonderful to see you all. My name is Michael Smith, the National Education Manager of Janome Canada, and I am back here live. Oh, and my sister Deb is here right away. Wonderful. Thank you so much. Oh, and Bobo is here. Thank you. It is so wonderful to see everybody today. And yes, what are we going to talk about today? Well, oh, how fabulous. My sister says that my father is watching as well. Thank you. I love Janome is such a family company, such a family affair, and it's wonderful when my family is tuning in today to watch. So thank you so much, everyone, for joining me today. So yes, what are we going to talk about today? Well, you know, no matter what machine, a Janome machine you have, there's always so many pressure feet and attachments and accessories included with the machine, but there's always more from our Janome dealers. And the accessory I'm going to share with you today will fit virtually every model. So it doesn't matter if it's 5mm, 7mm, 9mm, doesn't matter if it's high shank or low shank, doesn't matter if it's easy set, bobbin, or any of that. So long as you have a threaded screw hole in your needle plate or the housing of your machine, which pretty much is every sewing machine out there, then this will fit for you. So yes, let's spin around and share my camera, not my messy sewing room. So yes, what are we going to talk about today? Well, I'm once again on my fabulous Janome Skyline S7 AE Anniversary Edition machine. But again, any machine can basically use this. What in the world is that? Well, it is the fabulous Ribbon Sewing Guide and comes in the blister pack here. You can dispose of the plastic, but definitely save your cardboard here. The Janome Ribbon Sewing Guide. Now it says for horizontal rotary hook models, which means the lay-in kind of machine. But again, even those machines, they might be a front loader mechanical machine, but they will have a threaded screw hole. Not every machine, but a lot of machines will have this threaded screw hole in the bed here in the arm, or the threaded screw hole in the needle plate. Then we're able to use this ribbon sewing guide. So as always, full instructions on the back of the blister pack. There is the part number there. It's a little hard to read. It is 200-444-408. Is the part number. And again, it'll work with virtually every machine. Now, here is your blister pack, and make sure it opens this way. Spin it around this way. There's more instructions on the inside, full diagrams. Janome explains everything. Full diagrams, what presser foot to use, some suggestions here, little tips and notes. So full instructions there in the blister pack. So you save this cardboard. In previous, oh my gosh, and my niece is here. My niece Raven is here. She's the reason I got into quilting in the first place. 34 years ago. So thank you everyone for joining. It's so wonderful. So yes, you save this cardboard in the binder, in a page protector, so you never lose it. So here with the ribbon sewing guide, you see there are these two screws. Now, if you have a machine that has the threaded screw hole here in the housing of the machine, you're going to use this big long screw. It will go through the plastic and into the metal that is in all Janome machines. That's why this longer screw is needed. It will screw into the metal skeleton of the machine. So you'll use that big screw, and you'll use this big rubber pad, and that's basically a spacer for the ribbon sewing guide. It will go up here. You see there's a number 1 and a number 2. And again, full instructions in the blister pack. So if we have a machine with the threaded screw hole out here, we'll use the larger screw and the larger rubber pad, and we'll position it in this number 2 larger guide here. I have the threaded screw hole in the needle plate here, so I don't need these. I will pass those away. So instead, I use the smaller screw and the smaller little rubber pad, and I'm going to use the slot number 1 as, again, detailed in our blister pack. So it's super simple to do. I just line this up and line this up. And boom, like you see how simple this is. Now this ribbon sewing guide here adjusts. There are 2 adjustable little knobs that we can use ribbons up to, or fabric up to 1 inch wide, and it goes down to about a generous 1/8 of an inch is how small it goes. And when we're going to use that is to do this wonderful stitching onto ribbon, which I will show you in just a moment. So as a little tip here, there is a little red mark of the ribbon sewing guide, a little red mark right there in the middle. And again, these little screws adjust. So this can go wider up to 1 inch, down to about a generous 1/8 of an inch. And then this is this plastic guide comes up just to keep the ribbon flat. So we're going to line up this red mark on the guide with the mark that is here on our bobbin cover that represents center needle position. So super simple to do. Again, I had that. Perfect. Yes. And again, it's always easier with you don't have a camera in front of you. But again, I lined that up with the tick marks that are on my needle plate. This red mark that's on the ribbon sewing guide, I'm lining that up with the little tick marks representing center needle position that are on my needle plate. So we can give this screw a little tighten with our little screwdriver here. Boom, it's all set up for me. So again, with these screws here, I can adjust this guide. So when are we going to use this ribbon sewing guide? Now, isn't this adorable? This is a purchased little dress. It could be a big dress, doesn't matter, purchased. And this grosgrain ribbon, plain, simple grosgrain ribbon. You buy it from your Janome dealer, buy it at your craft store. But look how beautiful that looks with the decorative stitches. This is one decorative stitch on the outside, a decorative stitch in the middle, and a decorative stitch on this side. Isn't that gorgeous? Does it not make this inexpensive, ready-made, off-the-rack dress, or it could be an apron, it could be, a pair of pants, anything. You could use this as a waistband. But again, it just takes your ready-made garment and it makes it extra special with this big, long grosgrain ribbon. Tie it up however you wish. But isn't that adorable? Totally customized, totally personalized. Use some of those decorative stitches, again, around the hem. And boom, you've got a designer outfit at a fraction of the cost. So simple to do. Again, beautiful satiny ribbon, grosgrain ribbon, any kind of purchased ribbon you would like. Some of the decorative stitches built into your machine. A great time to use some decorative threads like these multicolor Madeira threads. Go see what decorative threads your Janome dealer has. In Canada, we had a ton of these Madeira multicolor thread packs in our warehouse. A lot of them, if you go to janome.ca, we have a special Shopify site. You can get a lot of these threads at a discount to help clear out the warehouse. These are some Madeira really neon bright threads as well. So see what threads, maybe some metallic threads would be cool on these ribbons. So see what threads your Janome dealer has. So beautiful ribbon. Now here on the back, yes, we're going to, since we're using decorative stitches, we're going to back the ribbon with stabilizer. Now, when you see this ribbon, however, oh, there is no stabilizer on either side of that. I certainly don't want to use some tearaway stabilizer on this ribbon since I'm going to see both sides. Well, instead of just the regular tearaway stabilizer as I have here, these are all the cutoffs that if you have an embroidery machine, perfect time to save all these little bits of tearaway stabilizer. Again, you just tear it away. So this I just cut into about 1 inch wide. Perfect time to use the measuring gauge that are in a lot of our extension tables that you can just eye up and say, oh yes, that is just shy of 1 inch. I made that about 7/8 inch wide. But instead of just using the tearaway stabilizer, oh, we can use, I have some water-soluble stabilizer here that, again, I've cut into approximately about 1 inch wide. So we could use water-soluble stabilizer on top of our ribbon and then immerse it in water. It will dissolve the stabilizer, and that way the ribbon is beautiful, both sides. The stitching is beautiful, both right side and wrong side, and we don't have to worry about trying to dissolve it or trying to rip it off. If it is tearaway stabilizer, we can just dissolve that water-soluble stabilizer. Now, while I'm talking about stabilizer as well, Janome used to, at least Janome Canada, used to distribute a wonderful product called Terreal Magic. Maybe Janome America still distributes Terreal Magic. I'm not sure. Maybe your Janome dealer still has some in stock, or you can find some elsewhere. It basically stiffens your fabric. This is regular fabric, very plain and flimsy. You immerse your fabric in Terreal Magic, and it makes it almost like paper. It's very stiff. You can spray with, a spray starch as well. Look at this, all that beautiful decorative stitching, right side, wrong side. I didn't need to use an additional stabilizer because of that Terreal Magic. Now, again, Janome Canada used to distribute it. So I'm not sure if at your Janome dealer store, there may be some still, or you can pick it up elsewhere. But it really is great to use. When else would we use this ribbon sewing guide? Well, here I can do labels like Janome, or it could be someone's name. When my grandmother went to her long-term care facility, we had to put her name in all of her clothes for the laundry. And then even here, speaking of laundry, if the kids are away at summer camp or they're going off maybe to boarding school, and then this they can label with the child's name, and then the washing instructions. These are all built into Janome machines, some machines. So again, could be decorative stitches or washing instructions. So it could be a label. Let's see you stitch. Yes, I agree. We want to see the magic. So it's always good to do the setup. Yes, I do set up so you can all see how you can set up your Janome machine. Very simple and easy to do. And all these beautiful satin ribbons. Maybe you have a gift bag that has these ribbons. How about some chocolates? They always have these beautiful grosgrain ribbons. But instead, I don't want to use that side. I can use this side and then stitch this down to my fabric. So there, this ribbon, it was free. I've already used it. I ate all the chocolate, of course. And then now I've got this beautiful grosgrain ribbon. So I'm using the satin stitch foot since we're doing decorative stitches. So this is the open toe, the F2 foot that has the groove on the bottom side. For the decorative stitches, I'm using the F foot attached to my machine. And again, a number of our machines have that foot already included. You can purchase the open toe one if yours machine did not come included. And you see, I just easily slide this guide. I have my ribbon extended beyond my presser foot. I move this guide to lock this ribbon in place there just by adjusting those thumb screws. Now, whatever decorative stitch I want to use, I could just use the straight stitch. But again, we've got all these beautiful like heirloom stitching built in. This is again the Skyline S7AE. So these beautiful decorative stitches in heirloom, so many to choose. Or let's go back into, satin stitches, decorative stitches. Play. Let's do the play stitches. So yes, we could do words. We can combine things. We'll do the shoe, since my sister is watching and she loves shoes. So we can do a shoe, and then we could do, I love doing stitch, and then we do sweet love. I love that. So then, yes, we can add a space in there, and then we can do that whole stitch pattern. So there's so many things that we can do, and away you go. Now, this ribbon sewing guide, again, keeps our ribbon perfectly centered and aligned. So simple, so easy to do. It keeps the stitching exactly in the center where we want it in this case. Now, in this case, I don't have a stabilizer underneath my grosgrain ribbon here. The ribbon sometimes is thick enough all on its own. You may not need a stabilizer every time, but I'm just going to, there we go, finish that stitch pattern. And then I'll just cut the threads here. Always do your little test sample. I can pull out the ribbon here at the back. And now do your little test sample first. Do I need a stabilizer? You see, oh yeah, it's a little crinkly. Now, once I press this with the iron, it may not be that bad, but isn't that beautiful? Did that not stitch out so perfectly? So instead, again, just to make sure it's going to lay nice and flat, what I can do is then just open this up, because this stabilizer that I've cut is just a little bigger than my sample here, which is fine. I could always rip it down, trim it off later. So I will just put in the stabilizer, and then again, we will, I just want to make sure I turn off my computer volume. There we go. Yes, sometimes people forget I'm doing my live. So yes, then I can trim this off later. Normally your stabilizer would be exactly the same size as your ribbon. But for demonstration purposes, I will just use it as is. And then again, I can snug in this guide. That's going to keep that interfacing perfect. Or that stabilizer, perfect. And then again, I can go back in and trim it down if need be. So super simple, easy to do. Again, this ribbon sewing guide just keeps everything centered and even. It works out so well. Now this, I'm just going to do a quick little stitch just to make sure. Just to make sure that this is going to lay flat. Oh, and because my stabilizer is bigger than my ribbon, it is going to go off a little wonky. But I just wanted to make sure that with that ribbon, oh yes, see, it definitely makes a big difference. You do want to add your stabilizer underneath. In this case, it is much flatter. So again, you just experiment, and could be any size that you want. Here is another sample that I've already started. And again, you choose whatever stitch that you want. I have more of these beautiful heirloom stitches. So what one will I choose? In my heirloom category, I was doing those. Let me get back to heirloom. There we go. So yes, now I can always adjust the width if I need to of my stitches as well. And again, I just take my strip. This is just a strip of fabric that I just cut it on the grain. I didn't even fold it under. So I just cut it on the grain so it's nice and straight. And then again, my little piece of stabilizer, underneath. You could fuse, sometimes I've been saying interfacing, you could fuse interfacing as well to the back of your fabric here, to the back of your ribbon. I just lock in this guide, and then again, this little plastic clear fence, basically, just to keep the ribbon down flat. This just slides into place. So stitches again beautifully. And again, I'm really not guiding. Like I generally do keep my fingers back here. I don't have to. I can just stitch along here. I have this finger down here holding this in place, but with this ribbon sewing guide, it keeps the stitching exactly centered as I want. And then later to go back and do like this sample, for example, this would be done in 3 applications. This row, the center row was done first, then this row, then this row. So yes, I'm putting this back through 3 times in this case to build up this decorative ribbon, the whole width of the ribbon. It's not just for the center as it is in this case. We can always, with many of our machines, we could just do a straight stitch on the outer side, or again, we can always do, we can adjust the width. Again, I'm shrinking that stitch down. So we can do things like that, and we can also adjust. Here is the needle drop position. So I can, this is the width here. So yes, I can always shrink the width, or then when I do my regular straight stitch, then yes, I can go in my settings here, and this is where I can move the needle. In this case, a straight stitch, I'm moving the needle all the way over to the left. So then if I wanted to stitch down, in which case I'll move that even more. There we go, all the way over. So then again, we can do lines of stitching now, way off to, in this case, I'm way off to the left. So there's so many things that you can do to totally customize exactly as you wish. So in this case, this stitched beautifully down the center, but then, I want stitching off to the left, let's say, so I can move my needle off to the left. You just experiment. So then I would go back in, and then I could do my stitching down the left, and it goes perfectly down up against that decorative stitch. There we go. So I just added, again, there was no straight stitch. I just added that straight stitch, and look how perfectly it lines up, boom, with that previous line of stitching for that decorative stitch. That's the joy of the ribbon sewing guide. It keeps your stitching exactly in the center in this case, or again, lined up to the left, to the right, wherever you want it. But because of this fence, it keeps everything stitching and feeding so beautifully. Now we can even add, this is a little piece I had started. We can even sew this decorative stitch on our ribbon and sew it down to fabric all in one step. So this is why these little rubber sliders, these little rubber spacers, are included in the blister pack that raises up this ribbon sewing guide, so we can add our fabric under the ribbon sewing guide like that, you see. Now, obviously, we couldn't go too far because here is where I'm going to run into that little rubber spacer. So depending on if this is like the hem of your garment, let's say, then we can add a little touch of decorative ribbon. And where is my grosgrain that I just had? So many things here on my table. There we go. So here is some grosgrain ribbon, and this is a fusible stabilizer on the back, that it is tearaway, but it also one size is fusible. So I fused the stabilizer onto the back of this grosgrain ribbon. And again, I'm just going to feed it very easily, very quickly through. Always make your ribbon a little longer so you can help feed it under the foot very easily. And again, I can adjust my little guides here. So generally when I'm anchoring my ribbon, I get it under the foot as I would like it positioned. And then I drop my foot. That acts as kind of a third hand. And then I just make sure to smooth my ribbon out straight. Again, I lock those into place. And then I'm just going to sew this on very easily. Let's see, what decorative stitch. Oh, that's the hardest part of all of this, is deciding what decorative stitch am I going to use. I'll do these cute little bows. And again, I could adjust the width of my stitch. It's just so fun. So here I am stitching the decorative stitch onto the ribbon. At the same time, I'm stitching the ribbon onto, this could again be the hem of my dress. This could be hem of the apron. It could be the sleeve hem, as it is flat before you sew it into a tube, if it's a sleeve. This could be along a collar edge. And again, this ribbon, this grosgrain, is held perfectly in the center. My needle is lined up perfectly in the center. Again, it doesn't always have to be in the center, but it just works out so well. When you're done stitching, again, you just pull it out to the back. Boom. Isn't that adorable? That cute little ribbon. And there you see my stabilizer on the back. You definitely want stabilizer when you're adding, again, more of these dense decorative stitches. So I could have soaked my fabric in to Real Magic, for example, and I wouldn't necessarily have to use that stabilizer. So you just experiment, but it looks so well. So then I could, you know, fold up my hem in this case, or if I could leave, if this were my hem edge, if I already had my hem folded, then this could be the edge of my sleeve, my collar, the pocket on a shirt. And definitely you let your machine do the stitching. You see how beautifully flat that is. You just let the machine do the stitching. I did this. It's a nice dense satin stitch. And if I press this, when I press this, it'll ultimately be okay. But you see how it just a little bit, it cups up just a little bit here. Why? Because I was holding on my fabric, holding on my ribbon too much. I actually kind of pulled it a little too much. And there, that sort of cupped it up a little bit. Now, when I press it, it's going to be fine. But just again, you see, this is perfectly flat. Again, a little press, boom, it's perfectly flat. You let your machine do the stitching. You don't have to hold on to your ribbon for dear life. You just hold it with one finger, as I was down here when it was going through the ribbon sewing guide. You just hold one finger down and just let it stitch, especially as it's going to go back and forth on itself. That's why, personally, I like using the closed toe satin stitch foot, because it's got that bar across it. So that keeps the ribbon a little flatter, especially as it's stitching back and forth. And again, this little plastic fence goes over, this clear fence goes over the ribbon. So then again, it just helps keep it flat as it stitches back and forth. So it's really, really fun. So again, the ribbon sewing guide, very simple, compatible with almost every Janome machine out there. You just need that threaded screw hole in the needle plate or in the bed of the machine. How do I find this? You go to janome.com or janome.ca. You click the accessories tab. What am I looking for? The ribbon, ribbon, spell it correctly. Oops. And again, you won't have a camera in front of you. Ribbon sewing guide. And it just takes a minute to think. And then it'll search it. Yes, it's searching. Our website has been improved not too long ago. So we have lots more information. So it does take a little time to think. And there, ribbon sewing guide, view product pages. Boom, there it is. And there is your part number. And then ribbon sewing guide, what machine is it compatible with? Oh, look at all of these machines. All of these machines. Again, almost every Janome machine out there it is compatible with. Again, so long as you've got that threaded screw hole that'll be out in the bed of the machine or the threaded screw hole in the needle plate, you too can use this ribbon sewing guide. And there's a little bit, again, comes with that thicker rubber pad and the thinner rubber pad, the larger screw. These are for the machines that have the threaded hole in the bed of the machine. And then that smaller rubber pad and the smaller screw will be the machines that have the threaded hole in the needle plate. And then this in itself is the ribbon sewing guide. So super simple, easy to do, very fun to add your beautiful decorative stitches to your, again, these are stitches already built into your machine. Of course, you could use the Stitch Composer software that's included with a number of machines to create your own decorative stitch. But again, decorative stitches built into your machine, and you are just adding that ribbon onto garments, quilts, tote bags, whatever you like, home deck products, whatever you'd like to do, and it just stitches out, so perfectly. So thank you everyone so much for joining me. It is so wonderful to see everyone, especially thank you everyone in my family for joining me today. It's wonderful to see you all, and I will see you all next week. Have a fabulous day. Bye.